There have been numerous reports coming out of China for decades that revealed an extremely sinister side to China's communist regime. Human organ harvesting of prisoners and those who practice non-state sanctioned religions like Falun Gong. In 2005, the Chinese government went on record to say that they did indeed harvest organs from executed prisoners, but they would reform the practice. However, a 1984 provision still remains in place, which allows for prisoners to be used as donors. This is in direct violation of all international guidelines. A paper that was published in the American Journal of Transplantation highlights an implausible discrepancy between officially reported transplants and a steep expansion of China's transplant infrastructure. This is the terrifying true account of China's human organ harvesting. We know there are many strange practices in China that to the Western world seems disgusting and sometimes downright evil, the dog meat festival being one of them. Despite China's development and growth over the last few decades, it still falls massively behind Western countries in terms of human rights violations. Despite the fact that the CCP officially banned the practice of harvesting organs from executed prisoners in 2014 and promising to move to a solely donation-based system, reports continue to spew out of China that organs are being harvested on demand. By just looking at the 3 biggest hospitals in China, it's easy to see that the amount of organs being transplanted is vastly different to the figure of 10,000 that was reported by the Communist Party. Since July of 1999, the CCP have tried eradicating Falun Gong from its lands because the Chinese government believed the practice will lead to rebellion. Such groups like the Taiping Army caused the deaths of some 20 to 70 million people, so we can see why the CCP might be frightened of Falun Gong practitioners. But the religious practice is non-violent and its main focus is meditation and exercise, with a moral philosophy centered on truthfulness, compassion and forbearance. It's easy to see then why Falun Gong practitioners become targets for organ harvesting. One such target was Feng Ying Zhang, a 66-year-old woman who became the subject of forced medical testing. She thought she was going to be killed for her organs, but luckily she survived her ordeal. Miss Zhang was arrested and imprisoned for handing out Falun Gong leaflets outside a Beijing marketplace in 2013. She became a political prisoner in a series of detention centres and labour camps where she, along with hundreds of other prisoners, were repeatedly examined in medical procedures, reportedly aimed at assessing the viability of their retail organs. Another damning report released in June by former Canadian politician David Kilgour, human rights lawyer David Matas, and journalist Ethan Gutman shows that organ transplants are carried out in China 10 times more than official government figures reveal. The report estimates that 60 to 100,000 organs are transplanted each year in Chinese hospitals. According to the report, The tens of thousands of organ transplants not reported by the government are sourced from executed political prisoners who were locked up for their religious or political beliefs. They went on to say that the increased discrepancy leads us to conclude that there has been a far larger slaughter of practitioners of Falun Gong for their organs than we had originally estimated. The ultimate conclusion is that the Chinese Communist Party has engaged the state in the mass killings of innocents, primarily practitioners of the spiritually based set of exercises Falun Gong, but also Uyghurs, Tibetans and Select House Christians, in order to obtain organs for transplants. The authors of the report claim that detained Falun Gong practitioners were forced to undergo medical tests before their results were put on a database of living organ sources so quick organ matches could be made. The Chinese government refuses to reveal how many prisoners it executes per year, as they believe this is private information that isn't any other country's business. But if you were them, wouldn't you want to put your neighbours' minds to rest and prove you weren't doing the things you were being accused of, and by doing so, improve international relationships and trade deals? In 2015, Amnesty International named China as the world's biggest executioner, executing more prisoners than all countries in the world combined. This information alone tells you all you need to know about what is happening to prisoners and innocent practitioners of Falun Gong. Imagine putting yourself in the shoes of those victims who are systematically arrested and kidnapped, tortured, forcibly examined and tested for their organs' viability in transplantations. It must be a truly horrifying and psychologically damaging experience to go through. Some of the victims are not as lucky as Miss Sang and will end up being executed on demand. When will China stop this practice of organ harvesting? Will they ever stop it? It's unlikely until several powerful nations like America and the UK step in with the help of the United Nations. As a final thought, with those innocent people in mind, I would like to help Amnesty International, who are no doubt involved in this massive scandal. For those who are unfamiliar with this organisation, they fight to protect men, women and children wherever justice, freedom, truth and dignity are denied. I have made a donation to their great cause, and if you would like to help them, I have put a link into the description of the video where you can donate to them too. I've also put a link to China Uncensored, who are one of my favourite YouTube channels. It's a satire news channel, but they have a serious message in their videos. Remember, we are all humans who need love, companionship, forgiveness and understanding. Love will always win. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, why not subscribe so you don't miss the next exciting episode of Strangeries. Thanks for watching.